moving beyond the section where we're talking about you, we're going to talk about the fact that you have an aspiring wrestling career. Now, what I want to ask, because you are wearing the T-shirt, if you want to show it off whilst we're here, which is the FPWA T-shirt, which is pretty cool. And who's the head trainer down there is Andy Wild, right?
Andy Wild, yeah. I mean, if you know wrestling at all, the UK scene, then you'll know Andy Wild.
So, was Andy Wild one of the deciding factors when you going to train at the FPWA?
Yes, without a doubt. We'd heard about FPWA in September of last year, and because it was going to be like somewhat on my doorstep, like maybe like half an hour away, I was like, okay, this might be a good shout. I'll wait till I hear more. And then I think it was maybe like the day after it was announced that Andy Wild was the head coach. I'm like, paid my deposit straight away.
So this is one of the things that's always quite interesting. Now, I've done some training, and the training I did was not with anybody of any caliber like Andy Wild. So what was your first training session like? What was it like when you walked in there and you have to start training?
Well, I've trained before joining FPWA. I've trained with a few companies. I've been around for a little while, but I took a break for family and things like that. So like the caliber of the training with Andy Wild, you know what you're getting is going to be top quality training.
Now, is Andy there for every training session, or is it where Andy's there for unless he's being booked somewhere?
You know what, like Andy's one of the few trainers that I know that actually does the training with us. If he asks us to do like 50 push-ups and 50 burpees, Andy Wild will do the 50 push-up and 50 burpees with us. And I think that's a leading by example thing. I believe that, controversial moment, but I believe that other promoters and other trainers should take stock of that, and don't ask the trainers to do something,
Yeah, I think there's definitely a respect element there, where if you can see the person who's running it's doing it, well, I better at least, because for those people who can't quite make it to doing the 50 push-ups, Andy Wild's doing it as well, so I have to try and keep up with the person who's training me, because if I can't keep up with him, then I'm not good enough.
Yeah, it's definitely something that pushes you out your comfort zone, without a doubt. It's a case of, you can only be as good as you were the week before. So like if you could do 10 push-ups one week but do 12 the next, then you're halfway there to being better in a month's time.
So this is an important question, because like me, you're not super skinny. You don't look like a person who goes to the gym every day. I don't take offense by that. I just mean
absolutely.
You don't look like Finn Balor does. Clearly, he enjoys a gym. The only thing I enjoy about a gym is the fact that there's a McDonald's next to it. So, were you in good enough shape when it came to wrestling training, or was that an adjustment for your life?
It's been a massive adjustment. I've never had washboard abs or anything like that, but I'm in better shape now than I used to be. I think that's just as you get older, you kind of learn to like take care of yourself, because time's not your friend.
Definitely isn't. I think I'm noticing that as age hits me as well. It's one of those things that you used to run up the stairs, and then now you're kind of struggling, and it's the same stairs, and even if you're the same weight, it becomes a struggle.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. I don't want you to give away any secrets, not any trade secrets, but describe a typical training session when you go in to the FPWA.
A typical session, we'll go in, we'll shake everybody's hand, as a sign of respect. We'll get changed into our training gear. We'll all do like a basic warm-up. We kind of get left to do that ourselves. But Andy'll have on the board like a wrestling warm up for us to do. And that could consist of like a card workout, where you take a deck of cards.
Okay.
Each suit in the card is designated to an exercise, whether it's push-ups, and we just work through the 52 cards in the pack. So you're proper blown up by the end of it.
And there's an almost random element to it as well. So you know that if they were to do the card thing again the following week, it's definitely not going to be the same routine. Which
exactly,
I think is
It's never the same, which I personally like, because I think what it is, it's a case of you don't want to get too used to the same thing, because when you're in a match, it's not going to be the same thing.
So, how long do the training sessions normally last at FPWA? Is it 2 hours, 3 hours?
About 2.5 hours on a Tuesday, and then 2.5 hours on the Thursday.
Okay. Now, what would you say was the thing that you found the hardest when you've been training?
The hardest thing I had to get out of my head was, thinking that I'm not going to get hurt. Because it's wrestling. A wise commentator once said, "This is not ballet." So I had to get out of my head that, I'm going to feel sore afterwards. There is no getting away from that.
I mean, my first training session, I woke up the next day and said, I'm never going back. And then I went back. And it doesn't make any sense, because you think, if something hurts, don't do it. But if there's something infectious, so as soon as you start doing it and you realise, I'm getting better. And I stopped after a little while. But, I mean, it's interesting to hear that somebody thinks that's important, because I think it is. And would that be the piece of advice you would give to somebody who is heading into training? That they need to realise that they're probably going to be hurting for a while.
Yeah. The thing is, a piece of advice that I got was, you spend a good portion of your life learning not to fall down. But when you try and become a pro wrestler, you spend all your time learning to fall down. It's a completely unnatural thing to do. So you are going to get hurt, you are going to mess up, but that's what training is for. You can't just lace up a pair of boots and become the next Bret Hart overnight. So
what's the thing that you found easiest when you've been training?
The easiest thing I found was settling in, because I feel that I come across as quite a confident person. I'll talk to anybody, whether it's like an old granny down the street. I'll talk to anybody, but like I knew of a few of the lads from other wrestling companies, so I knew that I was in good company. There was also a few guys that had never ever stepped foot into a wrestling ring before, so they were brand new to this environment. And I like to think that I've been around for a little bit, that I have a little bit of useful information. So we've all...
Is that something that Andy really wants? Is that one of the things he encourages, is the people who have more experience to help those underneath and try and lift them up?
Oh, for definite. Like, as I said, I've been to a few other wrestling companies, but the one thing I will definitely say about Andy Wilde is he is so passionate about wrestling. He loves it with everything. Like, during this lockdown period, he's given up his time to do Facebook Lives for us, just so we could pick his brains and stuff,
Well, that's one of the things I wanted to raise. So this is the last question we're going to ask about your training, and you getting to talking about the FPWA. Have you been able to keep training up during the lockdown? Is that something where there's been even some form of training?
Yeah, like what we'll do is, like, Andy will schedule like Facebook Lives for us, and he'll break down things like match structure and how to put together a match, and he'll tell us like little nuggets of wisdom that he's gotten from his WWE tryout, that he's gotten from William Regal, who is by far one of the best minds in wrestling.
He's probably forgotten more than we'll ever know as well.
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. So like Andy's passing all this on to us, not just because he feels that he needs to because he's our coach. He's passing this on because he loves what he does, and that comes across in his training.
So is the FPWA running shows, or are they intending to put people out into other shows to get them experience?
We had a show lined up for May the 10th. It was just like a student showcase. But obviously, with what's going on, that's had to be cancelled. Well, postponed, you know, until we get the go-ahead. It's all up in the air. But what Andy is telling people is don't look at this as downtime. Look at this as your opportunity to do what needs done to make sure that you earn a spot on that card.
Yeah, so he's encouraging you to keep up your physical training and making sure that you're physically going to be ready, even if it is a case of still needing some teaching. So what would you say to anybody who wants to get into training as a wrestler? If somebody came to you right now and said, how do I do it? How do I go and become a wrestler? Tell people where they can go to sign up to the FPWA.
Well, the one thing that I would say is if you came to me and asked like how do I become a wrestler, the one piece of advice I would give you is make sure that you look for a school that had a reputable head coach. Because I feel that that's vital. You need to have good knowledge coming your way. Again, like with FPWA, after every single training session, we take disinfectant to the ropes, to the canvas, to the mats. We clean everywhere. Hygiene is super important because you don't want to they do kids classes. So as a parent, I can't imagine dropping my daughter off at a school that's like looks really dark and dingy and quite unsanitary.
How old is your kid?
She's 8.
8. She turns around to you in a few years' time and says that she wants to train to wrestle. Whether you're wrestling or not, is that something you're going to be supportive of?
Oh, without a doubt. She loves wrestling. She loves Becky Lynch. Absolutely adores Becky. So she's turned around and she said that she wants to be a ring announcer, which is fair.
Yeah. It means in a few years' time, you could be having a match where your daughter is your ring announcer, which would be pretty damn cool.
That would be epic. That would be pretty fun.